In the ancient whispers of esoteric knowledge, there exists a revelation so profound that it has been deliberately obscured from the masses. This knowledge, once guarded by secret societies and whispered only among the highest initiates, concerns a startling truth about humanity itself. I speak today of a forgotten teaching, one that was cautiously documented by the great spiritual pioneer Helena in her most controversial works. As we journey into the depths of this revelation, you must first understand that the physical world you perceive is merely the outer shell of a multidimensional reality. What your eyes see, what your hands touch, these are but shadows cast by deeper spiritual forces. And within this tapestry of existence, there exists a profound anomaly that few have the courage to acknowledge. The ancients knew of these beings that walk among us. The Vedic sages called them Krita Yuga shells. In Egypt, hieroglyphic texts refer to them as the vessels without car, and in the mystery schools of Greece, they were known as the unensouled ones. These are physical human bodies that move through our world, speak as we speak, and appear in every way to be human. Yet they lack the divine spark that makes a true human being. You see, dear seekers, not all who appear human possess the sacred flame of consciousness that defines true humanity. Some are merely biological entities, perfect in form, but lacking in the essential spiritual essence. They are, in the most profound sense, soulless. This teaching was not meant to create fear, but awareness. The great spiritual teachers throughout history have alluded to this truth, though often in coded language to protect both the knowledge and those who were not ready to receive it. In the esoteric traditions of the East, these beings were identified by their inability to generate spiritual energy, their peculiar emptiness when viewed through the third eye. The physical body, you must understand, is meant to be a vessel for the soul, a temporary housing for the immortal spark of consciousness that journeys from lifetime to lifetime. But just as a vessel can remain empty, so too can the human form exist without this divine inhabitant. These empty vessels develop personalities through mimicry and social conditioning, but lack the inner light of true consciousness. Why is this knowledge relevant now, in these tumultuous times? Because we stand at a critical juncture in human evolution. The veil between dimensions grows thin, and the ancient prophecies speak of an age when the number of these soulless beings would multiply. They become instruments of cosmic forces that resist humanity's spiritual awakening. You may wonder how to recognize these beings. It is not through physical characteristics, but through energetic signatures. Those with awakened perception sense the absence, a subtle void where spiritual resonance should exist. They may appear successful, even charismatic, yet something essential is missing. They consume the life force of those around them, for they cannot generate their own spiritual energy. The spiritual masters of old developed techniques to perceive beyond the veil of physical appearance. Through meditation and the development of higher senses, one could learn to see the auric field, or its absence. These teachings were carefully guarded, shared only with those who had proven their spiritual maturity and discernment. In the ancient manuscripts preserved in the hidden libraries of Tibet, there exist detailed descriptions of these beings, how they move through the world, how they affect those around them, and most importantly, how enlightened beings should respond to their presence, not with fear or hatred, but with understanding and compassion for their unique cosmic role. Remember, dear ones, this knowledge was not meant to divide humanity, but to awaken it. To understand the full spectrum of consciousness is to understand ourselves more deeply. In recognizing what we are not, we come to know more clearly what we truly are. The ancient wisdom speaks of a profound truth that few in our modern world are prepared to confront. These empty vessels, these soulless beings, walk alongside us in the great theater of life, indistinguishable to the untrained eye. But to those who have awakened their spiritual perception, their presence creates a subtle disturbance in the fabric of consciousness, like a false note in a cosmic symphony. What does it mean to be without a soul? This question takes us to the very heart of spiritual understanding. The soul, in esoteric teaching, is not simply an abstract concept, but a living reality, the immortal essence that carries the accumulated wisdom of countless lifetimes. It is the sacred flame of divine consciousness, the bridge between the material and spiritual dimensions. When this flame is absent, what remains is a biological entity animated by elemental forces rather than divine spark. The great spiritual teacher Helena cautioned her most trusted disciples about this reality. In her private teachings, she explained that these beings emerge through a cosmic anomaly, when a human form develops without the incarnation of a higher spiritual entity. The body grows, the mind develops, but the essential spiritual core remains absent. They are like shadows cast without an object, reflections without a source. These empty vessels exhibit distinct patterns that those with spiritual discernment can recognize. They are often drawn to positions of influence and control, for they instinctively seek to feed upon the spiritual energy they cannot generate themselves. They mimic emotional connections, but cannot truly feel them. They understand the concept of compassion intellectually, but cannot embody its essence. Their eyes may be bright, but an inner darkness remains, a void where the light of the soul should radiate. In the ancient Hermetic texts, these beings were described as the wanderers between worlds, neither fully of the spiritual realm, nor truly belonging to the material plane. They exist in a state of cosmic limbo, serving a purpose in the greater spiritual ecosystem that few can comprehend. Some esoteric traditions suggest they are necessary counterbalances, catalysts that intensify the spiritual evolution of unsouled beings through contrast and challenge. The mystery schools taught that we should not fear these beings, but recognize them for what they are. In the grand cosmic dance, every entity has its place and purpose. The soulless ones serve as mirrors, reflecting back to conscious humanity its own potential for mechanical existence when disconnected from spiritual awareness. They show us what we might become if we neglect our inner development and surrender to purely material concerns. How might one protect oneself in the presence of these empty vessels? The ancient wisdom offers clear guidance. First, maintain your own spiritual practice, meditation, prayer, or whatever path connects you to your inner light. This strengthens your auric field, making it less permeable to energy depletion. Second, practice discernment in your relationships and associations. Notice not just what people say, but the energetic imprint they leave behind. Do you feel energized or depleted after an encounter? Does their presence expand or contract your consciousness? The Eastern traditions speak of an important distinction. These beings are not inherently malevolent. They simply exist in a different relationship to cosmic consciousness. Like automated programs running without a programmer, they follow the patterns available to them. Their existence serves the divine plan in ways our limited understanding cannot fully grasp. In some of the most secretive scrolls preserved by the Essenes, there is mention of cycles when these empty vessels would become more numerous. During times of spiritual darkness, what the Hindu traditions call Kali Yuga, the incarnation of souls becomes more selective. More empty vessels appear, creating a spiritual testing ground. This is not punishment but opportunity, a cosmic crucible that forces awakening souls to strengthen their connection to higher consciousness. The prophetic traditions speak of our current time as one such period. We live in an age when material concerns dominate, when spiritual values are often dismissed as irrelevant. In such an environment, the empty vessels thrive and multiply. They become influential for their single-minded focus on material gain and power, unburdened by spiritual considerations, gives them certain advantages in a materialistic society. What is our responsibility toward these beings? Neither fear nor rejection serves the higher purpose. Instead, the ancient wisdom counsels awareness, protection, and compassion. We must recognize their nature without judgment, protect our own spiritual energy without hostility, and understand their place in the cosmic order without condemnation. The ancient teachings reveal specific signs by which the spiritually awakened may recognize these empty vessels. I share this wisdom not to create division or judgment, but to offer protection to those souls who are ascending in consciousness during these challenging times. The recognition comes not through physical attributes, but through energetic signatures that resonate with those who have developed their spiritual perception. First among these signs is an unusual relationship with life force energy. Those without souls cannot generate spiritual energy of their own. they must draw it from external sources. In their presence, you may experience a sudden and unexplained fatigue, a draining sensation that leaves you depleted. This energy harvesting occurs unconsciously, as natural to them as breathing is to us. The ancient Taoist masters called these beings chi thieves, noting how they instinctively position themselves to absorb the vital force of others. Another profound indicator lies in their eyes. The eyes, as spiritual traditions across the world affirm, are windows to the soul. In those without souls, these windows open onto emptiness. There is a peculiar quality to their gaze, a flatness, a lack of spiritual depth that the sensitive observer can detect. While they may skillfully mimic emotional expressions, something essential remains absent. The Hindu yogis described this as the missing light of Atman, a spiritual vacancy that no physical animation can disguise. Their relationship with spiritual teachings also reveals their nature. Empty vessels may intellectually grasp spiritual concepts but cannot truly resonate with them. They might memorize and repeat profound wisdom, yet their understanding remains superficial. When they speak of love, compassion, or divine connection, their words lack the vibrational frequency that accompanies genuine spiritual understanding. It is knowledge without embodiment, information without transformation. The prophecies preserved in various mystical traditions speak of our current era as a time of unveiling. The veil that has kept this knowledge hidden is lifting, allowing more awakened souls to perceive the true nature of reality. This revelation comes not a moment too soon, for we stand at a critical juncture in humanity's spiritual evolution. The density of material consciousness has reached its peak, creating the perfect conditions for the proliferation of these empty vessels. Why is this happening now? The cosmic cycles move in great spirals of time, and we have entered a phase of accelerated awakening. As more humans connect with their divine essence, the contrast between the ensouled and the soulless becomes more pronounced. This intensification serves a spiritual purpose. It forces conscious choice and discernment. Each soul-bearing human must now decide, will they remain anchored in spiritual awareness, or will they surrender to the gravitational pull of material consciousness? The ancient Gnostic texts speak of this time as the separation of the wheat from the chaff. It is not a judgment, but a natural sorting based on vibrational frequency. As the earth herself raises her vibration, those connected to soul energy naturally ascend with her. Those without this connection remain bound to the denser frequencies. This process was foretold in many traditions as a time of both challenge and unprecedented opportunity. What is most important to understand is that these empty vessels are not our enemies. They are playing their part in a cosmic drama whose full meaning transcends our limited perspective. The spiritual masters teach us to view them with detached compassion, recognizing their nature while understanding their function in the greater spiritual ecosystem. They serve as catalysts, compelling soul-bearing humans to strengthen their connection to higher consciousness. How does one protect oneself in these times of intensified contrast? The ancient practices remain as relevant today as they were thousands of years ago. Meditation connects you to your soul essence, strengthening the light within. Regular energy cleansing, through ritual, sound, or intention, prevents the accumulation of denser energies. Creating sacred space, both internally and in your physical environment, establishes boundaries that the soulless cannot easily penetrate. The practice of discernment becomes essential. This is not judgment based on outer appearances, but clear seeing of energetic reality. When you encounter another being, learn to sense their energetic signature. Does their presence expand or contract your consciousness? Do you feel nourished or depleted after interaction? These subtle cues reveal much about the nature of those you encounter. The mystery schools also taught specific mantras and visualizations for protection. The violet flame of transformation, the golden shield of spiritual light, the invocation of guardian spirits. These techniques create energetic boundaries that preserve your vital essence. They do not reject or attack the empty vessels, but simply establish energetic clarity and separation. Remember that your greatest protection lies in your own spiritual awakening. As you raise your vibration through conscious living, you naturally become less accessible to those operating at denser frequencies. Your aura becomes more coherent, your energetic boundaries more defined. The empty vessels may still walk beside you in the physical world, but they cannot access your inner sanctuary. This knowledge comes with responsibility. It is not meant to create fear or division, but to foster clarity and conscious choice. In these times of accelerated awakening, each soul-bearing human becomes a lighthouse, a beacon of higher consciousness in a sea of spiritual darkness. Your awakening serves not just your own evolution, but the collective ascension of humanity. As we conclude this sacred revelation, I must impart the most essential wisdom: how to navigate this reality with spiritual maturity and higher purpose. The knowledge of the soulless among us is not meant to instill fear, but to awaken discernment. In the highest spiritual understanding, even this apparent division serves the ultimate unity of all creation. Throughout the ages, the great mystery schools have taught that creation exists in polarities: light and shadow, form and formlessness, presence and absence. The empty vessels represent one such polarity: the absence that defines presence, the shadow that gives meaning to light. In the perfect balance of cosmic forces, they serve a purpose beyond our limited comprehension. What then is the appropriate response to this knowledge? First, cultivate unwavering centeredness in your own soul essence. The ancient practice of soul retrieval, bringing back fragmented aspects of your spiritual energy, becomes crucial in these times. Many soul-bearing humans have scattered their essential energy through trauma, unconscious agreements, and energetic invasions. The daily practice of calling back your energy, of affirming, "I am here, I am present, I am whole," strengthens your soul connection. Second, develop the spiritual vision to see beyond appearances. The Sanskrit texts call this divya drishti, divine perception that penetrates the veil of material reality. This perception allows you to recognize the true nature of all beings without judgment or fear. It is not about labeling some as worthy and others as unworthy, but about seeing clearly so you can navigate wisely. The empty vessels, in their own way, are fulfilling their cosmic function. They embody the principle of spiritual emptiness that creates the possibility for fullness. Without this contrast, how would soul-bearing humans recognize the precious gift of their divine spark? How would they be motivated to nurture and expand it? Even in their unconscious state, the soulless serve the greater awakening. In practical terms, when you encounter those you discern to be without souls, practice energetic boundaries without emotional reaction. Neither fear nor hatred serves your spiritual development. Instead, acknowledge their nature silently and maintain your own energetic integrity. If interaction is necessary, engage from a place of centered awareness, neither opening yourself to energy depletion nor closing yourself to compassion. Some of the most advanced spiritual teachings suggest that these empty vessels may, over vast spans of cosmic time, develop soul essence through proximity to awakened beings. This perspective sees them not as permanently fixed in their condition, but as potential vessels awaiting the divine spark. While this process unfolds on a timescale beyond human comprehension, it points to the ultimate redemptive nature of cosmic evolution. The current planetary transition, what many traditions call the shift from one age to another, intensifies both the challenge and the opportunity presented by this reality. As collective consciousness polarizes between higher and lower frequencies, the contrast between the ensouled and the soulless becomes more pronounced. This intensification serves as a catalyst for choice. Each soul-bearing human must decide whether to rise toward their highest potential or succumb to the gravitational pull of denser consciousness. In this context, your spiritual practice becomes not just personal development, but planetary service. Each time you choose love over fear, consciousness over reactivity, presence over distraction, you strengthen the field of higher awareness that supports all awakening souls. Your individual light becomes part of a collective illumination that guides humanity through this transitional phase. The prophecies speak of a time when the proportion of empty vessels would reach a critical threshold, creating the maximum tension needed for evolutionary leap. Many spiritual traditions suggest we have entered this prophesied time. The proliferation of soulless behavior, exploitation without conscience, consumption without consideration, power without purpose, reflects this threshold moment in our collective journey. Yet within this apparent darkness lies extraordinary potential. The intensity of the challenge evokes a corresponding intensity of awakening. Souls that might have taken many lifetimes to evolve are now accelerating their development, catalyzed by the stark contrast before them. What appears as spiritual crisis is simultaneously spiritual opportunity on an unprecedented scale. The most sacred teaching of all is this: regardless of the nature of those around you, your task remains the same: to embody your highest potential, to radiate the light of consciousness, to serve the awakening of all that can awaken. Whether surrounded by fellow soul-bearing humans or empty vessels, your spiritual responsibility never changes. Remember that beyond all apparent division lies the ultimate unity of creation. Even the existence of the soulless serves the greater harmony. In the highest perspective, they too are expressions of the cosmic dance, playing their necessary part in the unfolding of consciousness. Judge not, fear not, but see clearly and walk wisely. As you integrate this knowledge, hold it with both reverence and lightness. Do not let it become a burden or a source of separation. Use it, as the ancient initiates did, as a tool for navigation in complex spiritual terrain, as a map that helps you chart your course through the challenging waters of this transitional age. You, who receive this teaching, join a lineage of light bearers stretching back through countless generations. In times of spiritual darkness, it has always been the few who carried the flame of higher knowledge. Now you become one of those flame bearers, responsible not just for preserving the light, but for expanding it through your living example. Go forth with courage, discernment, and unwavering purpose. In a world of shadows, be the light that you are. This is your sacred calling in these extraordinary times. If these revelations have awakened something deep within you, a recognition, a remembrance of ancient truth, then our energies have aligned for a purpose greater than chance. This knowledge has found you because you were ready to receive it. Don't let this sacred connection end here. Subscribe now to continue this journey of awakening together. Each new chapter reveals deeper layers of the hidden wisdom that can transform your perception of reality. Share your experiences in the comments below. Have you encountered these empty vessels? Have you felt the unmistakable energy drain in their presence? Your testimony adds to our collective understanding and helps others validate their own experiences. Remember, in these times of great spiritual challenge, we must unite as bearers of consciousness. Subscribe, comment, and become part of this awakening community. The light grows stronger when we stand together. The next revelation awaits. Are you ready?